Welcome to Work Our Way.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Allie, and I am a content creator who is in love with the art of visual storytelling. So I do photo, I do video. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and something that I also did when I was in the Air Force as a combat camera photographer, videographer, etc. I love travel. That's probably my biggest passion. I've been to over 85 countries, and that's really part of the reason that I'm so excited to be here in Australia with the love of my life, Patrick.
Hey, that's me. I'm Patrick. I was also a veteran. I was a JTAC in the Air Force. Right now I'm working as a comedian. I've quit my job as a pharmaceutical rep and then a contractor, mainly because I was bored. I was looking for adventure. So I found that in spades with Allie, and we moved to Melbourne. Why don't you tell us why?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. You're in your 30s, you have a job that pays the bills, does all right, but it's not really something you're passionate about. And I think a lot of people, they sacrifice security for, or the other way around, they sacrifice what they want to do for this illusion of security and stability. And it was tearing me down. I didn't like my job, and I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, which is travel and create meaningful content.
Yeah, I hear that. I felt increasingly more like I was getting paid to kind of give up. I got hopefully, another 60 years-ish on this planet, and that's too much time to sit in a job that I dislike for not enough money, for not enough benefits, and to not chase the things that I do actually want in this life, which is a very happy life and a family with you, Allie, and a life full of adventure. You know what I mean? I have no desire to stay on the beaten path.
Yeah, there was no light at the end of the tunnel, and it consumed us to the point where, honestly, it almost kind of mentally broke us, and we just needed a change. We needed to get out and just change everything, really, about our life, where we were, what we were doing, just everything.
Yeah, the beaten path was beating us down.
Yeah.
I was at my breaking point. I thought I was about to lose my mind. I could only play so many video games to take my mind off of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not get any better at them.
Yep, Rocket League. What's up?
Rocket League, the bane of my existence, my Sisyphusian battle.
I look at Rocket League and I'm like, it's the same thing 5 minutes after 5 minutes, but people, you love it.
I don't love it. I kind of hate it, which is why I continue to play it. I've been playing for like a year, and I haven't gotten any better. I don't know how that's possible, but it makes me want to rip my own face off.
Yeah, it's just another job, it sounds like.
It's just another occupation.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, we've been in Melbourne for 2 weeks now. We're changing things up in terms of the way that we're doing life out here, because we initially started with the Workaway program, which was, trading skills for accommodation. Turns out, the Cliff Notes version, our host was a sociopath.
I wouldn't say sociopath, but you definitely had a personality disorder.
Oof, it was rough. It was really rough. And we meant to do 2 months with her. We did 10 days and we said, see ya.
Oh my God. Yeah. Day one, we got in there, the place was trashed. We're talking garbage everywhere. And I was like, ugh. There were a couple of French people in the kitchen that we didn't know. We introduced ourselves. They had just gotten there that day. And we figured, all right, we'll meet the owner. She'll give us our tasks, hopefully. The first task is, I can't believe I let the apartment get this dirty. Let's clean it. And it kind of was. That was our thing, right? So she came in. She was just like, I need this place clean. We figure, all right, that'll take 4 hours. That'll be the work for the day. And like kind of the division of labor, you're supposed to offer the skills for the accommodation. Allie's definitely the skilled one. I consider myself the labor. Allie does the plan was for Allie to do the marketing for this woman. We'll call her Sally.
Mm-hmm.
Her yoga studio, which was also in kind of disarray. It was also kind of a mess. And I was going to help her manage it, rewrite some of her processes and procedures and enforce it, train train the staff to make sure that they do all of that stuff. And with my background in the Air Force and Allie's background in marketing, journalism, social media, and the Air Force, we figured this is going to be an easy winning combination.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, she comes in, gives us her marching orders for the day to clean that place. And she had this back patio. Describe it.
Oh, it was horrible. It wasn't a patio at all. It was covered with towels and clothes, and the walls were caving in on itself. And it just, we wanted a nice place where we could have coffee and relax. And so we were actually pretty pumped to clean it. And I mean, it looks like she at one point maybe had a garden and it was all overgrown. It was just, oof, it was really, really bad.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
She had like garbage and shit in the dirt, like towels. It was pulling towels out of the... Anyway, I figured, all right, I want to have a cup of coffee here in the morning, like enjoy the weather. You know, I want to be able to use this space. So while Allie handled the inside,
clean the stove. Never did that before. Anytime that I lived in an apartment, I always just hired some teenager, paid him like $50 to clean the oven. So the oven, I mean, that was my task, and it was really bad. But we got it done, and it took about 4 hours, and it was like night and day. I wish we had before and after pictures, because
me
damn.
Too. Yeah, I don't want to brag, but I absolutely am gonna brag. I cleaned the hell out of that back patio.
He crushed it.
I weeded the whole thing, pressure washed it, pulled all the garbage. Fixed the walls. Every corner was its own competing spider factory. They were just coming out. It was disgusting. Anyway, it looked immaculate. And then she came in. She threw her her disgusting jacket on the ground and didn't even notice.
No.
I didn't even notice the back patio. Didn't even notice the hard work Allie did in the room. So that was like our first big red flag.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, this woman is a tyrant.
Yeah.
She marched us over in goose step over to the yoga studio, and she had us do like 2 or 3 more hours of work over there.
And the agreement was only 3 hours a day. So she clearly was taking advantage of the system and overworking us. So it was beyond frustrating. And after 10 days of nonstop calling, anywhere from 6 in the morning until 2 in the morning the next day, I mean, we were just always... we couldn't get a break from her. And that wasn't the reason that we came to Melbourne. We weren't about to quit our jobs in the States just to do the exact same thing here.
To work at a Chinese work camp, satellite campus, like that wasn't our... to work with this Xi Jinping in drag, that wasn't our game plan.
Yeah. So we left. We said, listen, you're crazy. We hope you get help, and we'll see you never.
Well, that wasn't our breaking point. Our breaking point was 10 days in, right? We made it 10 days,
10 days.
With that nut. 10 days of 6 a.m. text messages and phone calls all the way through, on average, we'll call it midnight, but most nights, getting into 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And
phone calls.
Yeah,
waking us up.
Nonstop. So we were unwilling to do that for 1 day longer.
Yeah.
And luckily, we found a friendly little Indian fella doing some couch surfing. So we opened up this beautiful apartment in downtown Melbourne with a great view. And we've been hanging with our boy Kartik.
Kartik, yep. Shout out to Kartik. He was an absolute angel. He's truly saved us because we were desperate to get out of Sally's place. So we were applying for jobs, we were looking at hostels, and I remember that I did couch surfing back in my 20s when I first backpacked Europe.
Seems irresponsible.
At the surface, yeah, it seems a little sketch. Why would you go to someone's place, sleep on their couch for free? People aren't that nice, but I was so surprised because the couch surfing community really is so genuine and authentic, and it's just people who love to travel and love to meet other travelers, just opening their home. And usually, if you're a guest, you don't just sleep on their couch, you interact with them, you take them out, you share recipes, you cook dinner for them. It really is a complete exchange. And I think it's Kartik's we're his first hosts. And so he's new. He's here on a work trip from India, just in Melbourne for the next month. and we hit it off and we showed up, and lucky for us, he lives on the 24th floor of an amazing skyrise apartment, and we can see the entire skyline from his balcony, and it is awesome. He is such good company, and he saved us. He really truly saved us.
Yeah, I mean, we'd still be at Sally's place, figuring out a way to probably kill her in her sleep.
Yeah, or stabbing my eyes out.
Yeah,
It was just bad. So luckily, I mean, it just all worked out, and we're very thankful.
Yeah, we've hit a good homeostasis here in Melbourne.
For sure, yeah.
Why Melbourne?
Melbourne is just, I will say, Australia in general, this is our first time, so we weren't really sure exactly where to start, but we figured an international city where there's diversity and a good amount of comedy, that would be a good place to start. But when we first got here, it wasn't totally great, only because the weather was horrendous. And I just assumed that every city in Australia was a beach town, so I didn't pack appropriately at all.
Yeah, we know Google exists. We just refuse to use it. We didn't look up a single thing about Melbourne in terms of weather, and I was severely disappointed to the point I was just like, oh my God, am I getting like seasonal depression here?
Yeah, it's like Seattle.
Yeah, it was awful. We did get one sunny day that we immediately went to the beach, and almost immediately got so burned that it ruined the next 3 days for us. So it's been a nice little boomerang of emotions.
Or honestly, at least I am still suffering. I'm very pale. And so we sat outside for 2 hours, and I thought, 2 hours, I'll burn a little bit, but it's not a big deal. Well, I didn't realize that Australia doesn't have an ozone layer anymore.
Also very Googleable.
We got fried, like borderline sun poisoning. Like all of my sunburn is now purple. It hurts to do anything. It's my whole back of my legs. It's just, it's bad. I hate
rough.
it.
Yeah, she's looking rough.
Yeah, and Kartik is a great host, but we are sleeping on the floor just because there's only one couch, and we figure, we'll sleep on the floor. Floor sleeping is nice. But I'll tell you what, with a back of sunburn, it's rough.
It sure is.
We need sleep. It's been hard to sleep. But,
Melbourne, great city. It's packed. It is packed with people from everywhere. So walking down the street's kind of rough. It is. It's impossible. You can't get anywhere fast in this city, except by tram. Mm-hmm. Tram is dope. But those things pack out pretty good. Yeah,
it's reliable. It's interesting because this is a very diverse city, and obviously Australia, they drive on the other side of the road, so they walk on the opposite side of the sidewalk. But you also have a lot of nations here who walk on the right. So I think it's just kind of like a power war every time you walk down the street of who actually has right of way and who needs to move for whom.
It's pedestrian Mad Max out there.
It kind of is. So that's why it's so hard to walk. I thought I knew how to walk in a city, but here I just feel like I'm playing Frogger with other pedestrians.
Remember that woman that fell yesterday?
Oh my God. Yeah, this poor woman. Not even wearing that high of high heels. She just clipped a curb.
Yeah, she just smacked her foot on the curb and then boom.
Rolled.
Yeah, big tree fall hard.
Yeah, and then she just laid there. So we were like, oh no, is she okay?
I jogged over, this other fella jogged over, and then she looked indignant. And we were like trying to help her up. It's like, listen, lady, you're gonna just lay on the ground. You'd expect people to give you a hand. If you want people to act like it's no big deal, you better pop up.
I think she was just trying to close her eyes and pretend it didn't happen. At least that's what I would do.
The earth shook. Nobody could pretend it didn't happen.
It's just like, oh no. I was very embarrassed for her for at least 15 minutes after we saw her. I was like,
oh yeah.
I still remember. I'm still thinking about it.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Well, what else? What else do you want to talk about? What can we hit on?
We could hit on our travels out here. They were long. It was, I would call it its own little odyssey.
Yep.
So starting from when I proposed to Allie in our last night in our empty house.
Truly empty. Everything was gone. Furniture. We were just on the floor with some blankets, maybe not even some pillows. It was just, everything was packed. We were ready to go super early in the morning. And it was after an awesome night of comedy with some friends, and it was just, I didn't expect it. I was about to go to bed. We just ordered pizza rolls from Domino's. And I was like, all right, we're going to bed. And then he grabbed me, got down on one knee, and the rest I just don't remember because I was crying. So
Well, those are the wave tops.
Yeah.
Then we woke up the next day. We headed out. We drove from Colorado all the way to Cribbets, Wisconsin.
No, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. And that took forever. We spent a day and a half in Milwaukee with Allie's family.
Mm-hmm.
Then pressed it over to Ohio,
Yep.
where we did a quick remote shoot at a dog hotel and brewery, which I guess you could see upcoming possibly on
Taste Made Travel.
tastemadetravel.com.
Yeah.
And then we pushed it over to my parents' house, where we shocked them with the size of our U-Haul, and we unloaded all of our stuff into their attic and basement. Shout out Mom and Dad. Thank you for storing all of our shit. And we spent a day and a half with them, and then flew out of JFK.
Mm-hmm. And that's
Ooh.
right at JFK was when I lost my bag. So that
Yep.
was the start of that whole dilemma.
Lost the bag right off the rip. That was
Yeah.
great.
But, we had a layover in Denver. We had a layover in LA. And the flight from LA to New Zealand was interesting, to say the least. I did not know that you needed a visa for New Zealand, even if you were just transiting through the airport. Had no idea. So we had been drinking. We were, relaxing in the lounge. We were ready to just pass out for 14 hours straight, and all of a sudden our names got called.
Yeah, I had just taken a couple of edibles, which I don't know if you've ever problem solved on edibles. It's hard. It's just a little hard. So they called our names. We had to fill out a bunch of forms, basic stuff, very hard stuff. And we got all of that settled so we could get into New Zealand. I guess we missed an immigration form or two.
We totally missed it. We just didn't have the visa, so they weren't going to let us on the plane. So they were boarding the plane. We only had like 20 minutes, and we had to use the shitty airport Wi-Fi to try to download these forms and fill them out on our phones. They didn't have it on paper, which would have made sense. But yeah, I feel we were the last people on the plane. Almost
Turns
missed
out
our
quite
flight.
unnecessary. Both of our visas got approved today.
Yep. Congratulations,
Yep,
love.
Thank you. You too. So yeah, we got on the plane, and I still had a couple more edibles. I figured long flight. Let's right on down the hatch.
Mm-hmm.
And an hour later, I woke up in a full sweat.
Yep.
And this has never happened to me before. Oh my God, my heart was going. I knew what was happening. I was just like, I ate too many edibles. And I need to cool off alone in the bathroom.
He was in the window seat. I was the middle. And then we had some stranger on the aisle. And I was passed out, obviously, too much wine. But the guy in the aisle seat had just gotten food. And it was at this moment, I'm asleep. Someone
Tough
just
luck,
got
pal.
food. And Pat's making us all get up. And he runs to the bathroom, and I noticed something
didn't
was
run.
wrong.
I couldn't have run if I wanted to, but I was keeping it together. But inside I was en fuego.
I followed him to make sure he was okay, and he didn't know how to open the door to the bathroom. So luckily I was there to just open the door.
Thank God.
And then I didn't see him for 30 minutes. So, that was...
I sat on the toilet. I sweat my ass off. And I just recollected myself. What I should have done was just take my shirt off, because what ended up happening was I just sweat all the way through my shirt, and I came out of the bathroom like I'd run a mile in there. And I was just like, I'm good now. And Allie was like, you don't look it.
I have to sit next to you for the next 13 hours,
I know.
and you smell like shit.
Did I?
Oh, you were sweaty. Yeah, your whole shirt. You were
Well,
just,
all right.
but we made it. I fell back asleep, and then we basically woke up.
We woke up in New Zealand. We hit a airport lounge. We showered. We got some food. We had a mimosa. We had a good laugh.
Oh, yeah. Then we hopped on over to Melbourne, and then that was that. So, comedy in Melbourne is interesting. And this is coming from someone who is obviously not a comedian and not funny, but I go to a lot of shows. I support Pat. I think he's great. So, I go to as many as I can. But they're different here, and not necessarily in a bad way. I'm actually really impressed with the energy of open mics here in Melbourne compared to where we were in Colorado. That it's just different, you know? I feel like, okay, for example, open mic back in the States, you know, you have your host and he brings up the comedians and that's kind of it. But here they almost treat it like a show. They're always filling the silence either with music. The host's energy is just through the roof, I feel like, no matter where we are. And, you know, in all of those moments where you're waiting for comedians to come up or leave, they've got songs playing. So it's different. It's a totally different vibe. And honestly, I dig it.
Yeah, it's not. I think it pays off for the audience quite a bit. I think you're kind of hitting the nail on the head. What they do is they treat open mics like a full-on show, and they'll curate the first half or so of the open mic. So they will book actual comedians and they will put them in what they call a bracket. And they'll run maybe 5 to 10 comedians through at 5 to 7 minutes apiece. And they get a full audience and they get the audience engaged and laughing. And it's a great show. I mean, there's a ton of talent here in Melbourne.
Definitely.
Yeah, steep competition. I'm very thankful to start getting booked among these guys because they're good.
Yeah.
They're good.
And one thing that you mentioned earlier that I really liked that I didn't really think about as an audience member is in the States, it's different. You know, you have your opener, you have a couple people in between, and then you have the guy who rocks. Then you got the headliner. But here they put all the people in the beginning for the most part in the first bracket. So it forces comedians who maybe aren't as experienced to watch people who are and not have to stick around the whole time.
Yeah, you do. You get free lessons in comedy. I think if you're an up and comer. So as you sign up for an open mic, if it's your first time, you're sitting through a full first bracket of people who are near pros, semi pros, or pros. You know, that are actually working their material and getting headlining other places. They get the time, and you can watch them, understand what they're doing, and I think it makes for potentially faster growth. You know what I mean? I think you can grow exponentially. The more you watch good comedy, the better you understand comedy, in my opinion.
Yeah. And for me, it means I don't have to stay up until 11 or midnight on a weeknight. You know, it's good to kind of see some of that up front and when the energy is highest in any sort of show.
Absolutely. And the talent here is they have a different comedic voice, which I mean, I love different perspective. I love different voices, and it's like extremely diverse. They've got they talk about a wide range. It's fun to try and pick up like, oh, what does that word mean? What is that an actual reference to? And try and translate it to my dumb American. The stereotypes are the same, but the way they get there are different. And it's a lot of fun. It's been a great experience so far. Very fortunate. If you guys are in Melbourne, start looking for my name on a couple of show posters. I'm up this week at Two Bob Snob. Another show at Apartment Comedy. So things are starting to move, and it's I'm very thankful. Another thing I should say is they have been incredibly welcoming.
Oh, so sweet. And that was something that we were kind of nervous going into this whole trip was, okay, we're a couple of foreigners coming into a very tight scene. How are they going to view us? Are they going to be welcoming? Are they going to be territorial?
Yeah, are they like mean surfers who will beat you up on your surfboard and then break it over your knee like in Point Break, the original?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, truly. We weren't sure how people were going to treat us. And it's just been over the top, mind-blowingly positive. And we're so thankful for that.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been great. Shout out to everybody in the Melbourne comedy scene. You guys fucking rock.
Yeah, you're crushing it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got to add?
Nothing beyond that.
All right. All right, we did manage to get one adventure in so far. The weather has been, I think we mentioned a little earlier, the weather's been kind of shitty.
Oh, it's been bad.
But we got one day that was just a little rainy. And so we decided to go to a place called French Island.
Yeah, I mean, initially we wanted to go hiking. That was the goal. We're like, let's go somewhere where we can just hike. Grampians National Park is about 3 hours from Melbourne. That was recommended a million times, but we're balling on a budget, so we needed some place that was relatively close where we could use public transport.
Yeah. So we found this place, French Island, that had okay hikes, according to the thing. And we heard island. I like boat rides. So we thought this will be a blast.
Yeah, so it's easy to get there for the most part. You hop on the train, you go all the way down to the bottom of the bay, and you take a ferry to one of two islands. The first one is French Island, the second one is Phillips Island. And we were on the ferry for 15 minutes, and they have this TV where you watch commercials. And all of the commercials were for Phillips Island.
Yeah, Phillips Island looked like it was awesome. Not a single commercial, suspiciously, for French Island.
Not one.
Not a single one. You want to know why? Because there's nothing worth filming there.
It was so barren. I almost felt like I was just on someone's farm, just walking around in their marshland for a couple hours. There was no signs really telling you where to go.
Nope. There was it was like us and maybe 30 elderly Chinese people all got off the ferry. I don't know what happened to those 30 Chinese folk. I think the island took them.
Yeah, and we never saw them.
That was
Not once.
we got lucky.
Yeah.
We didn't get swallowed like they all did because we got off the ferry. The island's not huge and there's nowhere to go, and they were nowhere to be found.
Yeah, it was weird. It was really weird. And really, we just, like I said, we just wanted to hike. But what we also really wanted to do was see a koala bear in its natural habitat.
Yeah, apparently there's like 30 people who live on the island and 500 koalas.
Very hard asterisk next to that statement because totally unverified. One person told me one time and I believed it.
Yep, and Allie told me, and now I'm passing it off on the podcast as fact.
So Google it. But, I mean, yeah, there's supposed to be a lot of koala bears there. So I was pumped. I was like, all right, let's go see a koala bear.
Yep, and we walked deep into the woods.
Deep. Yep, rainforest, jungle, marsh, whatever it was.
Swamp.
We saw a salamander.
Ooh, that one scared me.
I made a really new noise when I saw a porcupine.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was a potteroo.
A mini like hedgehog-ish thing.
Yeah, with an anteater mouth and a spinal spine. You know.
Is that what they're called?
Yep, porcupine spine.
Yeah, well, I almost stepped on it, and it's about the size of your hand.
Can you give us a
reenactment of the noise I made? Absolutely not, because it was involuntary. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, ever been so scared. I thought it was a spider. So I thought I was stepping on a giant tarantula.
That would have been the largest tarantula. That's the tarantula from the end of the original It.
Yeah. Well, I thought that's what it was, so I just made a noise. I made it like I don't even know. I can't even do it. It was
Yeah, it sounded like Sylvester Stallone getting punched.
It was very embarrassing. I didn't know where it came from. I looked behind me. I thought someone else made it.
What animal was that?
Yeah. But yeah, we saw a bunch of those, and I tried to get close because I brought my GoPro and I wanted to get some videos so that we could show you guys. And Patrick told me to step away because he thought that it was going to shoot its spines out like a video game character.
Well, Australia is known for having wildly unpredictable and dangerous animals. I think shooting those barbs out of his back would have been wildly unpredictable and dangerous. So it seemed to fit the bingo square.
Well, we survived.
Yeah.
Thank God. I don't know how. But on our way back, we got so lucky after a couple hours of hiking.
Yeah, we were approaching the general store, the one store.
The only store.
The only store. They sell like 3 Coca-Colas and a bag of chips.
Yep. And we saw a koala bear, and it was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
It was a teddy bear. It was on a low branch. And it just kind of curled up in a ball when it saw us and closed its eyes. And
So we smuggled him off the island.
We have a pet now.
No,
we have a
no.
pet.
No, we left him there. We left him
Yeah.
alone.
But it was,
I think he did want to meet us a little bit. I think he wanted to get to know us better.
yeah. I mean, he just looked, I don't know, like a koala bear. Very everything, all expectations met, not necessarily exceeded. I was like, well,
Certainly
that's
not
exactly
exceeded.
what I expected a
Yep.
koala bear to look like and do.
Yep.
So that was great.
and so we accomplished the one thing we hoped for when we got to that island.
Mm-hmm.
See a koala. And that was the only thing.
That's it.
That was
That's
the
it.
highlight.
Yeah.
We got back and it started to rain again. It got very cold, so we hit the timing perfectly. And we caught our fun little boat ride back.
Yeah, we ran into some mutual friends on the tram back, and we were telling them, hey, we just went to French Island, and one of the locals who was sitting across from us laughed.
Yeah, laughed at us. Said, I've never even heard of that place. And I live here. And we're like, oh, yeah, no, it's clear we went to the wrong island.
We did. That's, Phillips Island is next. We should have just, like I said, ignoring the red flags once again. I don't know.
So if you guys find yourself on the way to French Island,
Skip
don't get
it.
off. Yeah.
Skip it,
Don't do
please.
it. Yeah, go to Philip.
Yep.
Go say hi to
Seems
Phil.
a lot more fun. I guess they got a chocolate factory there. You can go
Oh my God.
paragliding. There's beaches. Oh, it's swampland up
Helicopter
in
rides.
French
Yeah,
Island.
people. Big thing. They have people there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was one of the good things I'll say about French Island. Is as soon as we got off the ferry and the island swallowed all of those Chinese people, we didn't see another soul.
No.
And I'll tell you, it was kind of nice.
Yeah.
There was a serenity and a peace there.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was great, and we just did a lap. How many miles? Maybe like 5 miles.
yeah.
And
Nothing,
then
nothing huge.
nothing crazy. And then that
Just
was it.
enough to get the old yams moving.
Yep, absolutely. Ooh, speaking of yams, you know what we
Tell
should
me.
talk about?
Keto?
Yep.
Ugh.
We're keto now.
We're trying.
I don't know why you would, move your entire life to a new country and then start a completely life-changing diet, but we did.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. There's you break your habits. You break your habit patterns and any bad behaviors. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sitting around playing video games, smoking a blunt, eating Oreos.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those things don't exist readily available to me.
Yeah,
Plus, we got to save a lot of money.
we do.
Plus, I was growing tits. So,
Yeah, I was
I can't afford new clothes.
Yeah, I felt like a beached whale every day.
Yeah.
And there's beaches here. Like we had to lose weight. We just did. And keto's interesting. It's what is it? Protein and fat in exchange for carbs. So you basically don't eat carbs. You eat all those other things.
Yeah, it's no carb, no sugar. The key is to get your body burning all of your fat. So you can eat a high fat diet, high in protein. It's just got to be almost zero sugar and zero carb. So we're talking like between 25 and 50 grams gets most people into ketosis. And ketosis is where you stop burning. You don't have the carbs in your system to burn before fat, so your body just goes into burning the fat as fuel. And I'll tell you, it makes me a little irritable.
Oh, I was so cranky.
Yeah.
And I didn't, that happened on like day 2 while we were here, day 2 or 3. So still no bag, still wearing my sweaty ass pants. So it was rough. It was rough for me.
It was rough for me.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah. I mean, keto, you get bad breath on keto.
She does.
Oof. I had to actually brush my teeth just an hour ago before filming this.
Yeah, so we didn't get charged for damaging the mic.
Yeah, but it's funny because we didn't really do, well, at least I didn't do a lot of research on keto before trying this thing out. And so you downloaded an app.
I did.
And it was supposed to tell us, okay, put in your food and we'll tell you what your little pie chart looks like in terms of carbs, fat, protein. But really what we were trying to do, because the app told us so, was to stay below 25 grams of carbs, which we thought was normal.
Yeah, you better put that fucking carrot down.
And then we were like, wow, this is really hard. We're eating basically 0 calories. And then we looked it up and we're like, Christ, we're supposed to be hitting 50 grams
Yeah.
of carbs.
We had a little bit more give in the system than
So
we thought.
we were like, not only were we on this diet, but we were only doing half of the diet.
Well,
So we
not
were-
half of it. We were doing twice as much as the diet. Twice the diet.
No, because it was 25.
Yeah, semantically, half the diet would be we'd be eating 100 grams. Never mind.
Oh, goodness. Math nerd.
No, I'm an English major. Right?
But yeah, so it was rough. Like we were eating fewer calories, way fewer calories than we were.
Yeah, we
supposed
dropped.
to.
We dropped a good amount of pounds. You're looking pretty sexy over
Yeah,
there.
you too.
Thank
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
mean,
so we're
it's-
gonna keep trying to continue it as much as it makes me hate everything, and and that's the way it's gonna go.
Yeah, but I can see why people do it. Like we're gonna give it a shot, and I'll tell you what, it's really helped us in saving money.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see how long we can keep after it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what do we got coming up?
So coming up, we're gonna release these episodes every Thursday. Every Thursday we'll put out an episode. So if you guys could go on iTunes and give it a like, subscribe, and leave us 5 stars. I mean, family, come on.
Don't be weird, guys.
We're watching you.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a list of who doesn't
Yep.
give us 5
Review,
stars.
Chris, I'm looking at you.
Yep, and whoever doesn't, you're not getting a Christmas card.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, but next couple of weeks we got a couple of interesting opportunities. We got hired to do tiny house promotion.
Yeah.
So we will be touring a couple of tiny houses for a company called Tiny Away. So look for that. We'll have a couple of remotes, a couple of highlights from those trips, and likely recordings from those tiny houses.
Absolutely. And if you want to see the content that we produce while we're there, check out our Instagram. It's just Work Our Way. We'll have behind the scenes. We'll have all of the professional stuff that I make for Tiny Away that feature us and our new orange van.
Oh, yeah.
And
We're
yeah.
soliciting names for the orange van.
Yes.
Also, we'd like a segment of this to be questions, Q&A, whatever you guys want.
Yeah.
So write in, comment, question, concerns. You guys got concerns first? We'll hear them.
Yeah.
We'll address them.
Yeah, then we'll just make fun of them and move on.
Yeah.
But truly,
So
at
what's
the end of
email?
the email is workourwaypodcast@gmail.com.
Okay, Instagram handle. Hit it.
Work Our Way.
That's it.
That's it.
Facebook. Do we have one?
We don't.
Okay, we're getting one though.
No,
probably. No,
we're not a boomer. Come on.
No, yeah. Such an old ass up.
But yeah, and we may grow from there, depending on how many of you guys subscribe and give us some love in the comments section. So hit us up, but we'd love to hear what you guys want to hear about with this journey. Year-long adventure in Australia, content creation, comedy. What are the things that you want to know?
Hell yeah.
We'll talk about them.
All right. Guys, we'll see you next Thursday.
All right, see ya.
Bye.